So for this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be answering a lot of the questions that we got in the bossing build video, like what weapon we're using, what reactor we're using, our external components, and also the most sought after question, which is what our mobbing build looks like. Now, to me, I have two tabs, bossing and mobbing, because I think that both are just very different and I want a build that does the two different things pretty well, versus a singular build that does both things decently. Now, I know that a lot of guys out there have this focus on doing a single build that does both decently because this right here is locked in. And once this is locked in, it's hard to have two builds. This really just pushes the agenda of having one singular build. But I think we were able to come up with a build that specializes in both two different things pretty well. So bossing is very focused on survivability versus mobbing, where surviving isn't too much of an issue. It's more about consistency and doing as much damage and killing as much mobs as fast as possible. Survivability is somewhat still of a thing just because the AI tracking for bullets in this game is pretty insane sometimes, and some mobs do slap pretty hard. So we do have a bit of survivability aspect in here, but it's definitely a lot more sacrificed in exchange for better mobbing. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure a lot of you do know though, mobbing on Bunny is very dependent on two things. It's really dependent on 100% uptime on lightning emission. It's also very dependent on 100% uptime on speed of light. For 100% uptime on lightning emission, you want to play with cooldown reduction and also skill duration. You play around with it enough and you'll be able to have this up 100% of the time. Now, the issue comes into speed of light. There's a lot of guys out there that talk about being this infinite running speed of light bunny build, but the truth is that those are all lies. All these builds run MP Collector. And MP Collector, theoretically, you have mobs, they're in high dense groups. So the idea is you kill groups, you'll most likely proc MP Collector, you'll get a decent flow of MP back, you'll be able to just go from mob group to mob group and just have a good amount of MP flow. But let's be honest, for those of you who have tried these MP Collector builds, there are downtimes and there are moments when you have no MP, and that's because mobs don't always spawn like directly back to back to back to back. There's going to be downtime between mob spawns. You also have mob groups that are sometimes spread between point A and point B, so you're running between A and B without any mobs between. Maybe you have garbage luck, so 70% chance isn't actually proccing, so you just have moments where this isn't reliable. And a lot of people want to compensate that with skill cost reduction, because skill cost reduction does allow you to have better uptime on speed of light. You're using less HP, you're using less MP, so, the idea is there. But that sacrifices a lot of unnecessary mod slots when you could just run Bionic Fuel. Now, the description of Bionic Fuel doesn't actually paint a full picture of what it does. So, unlike MP, where if you run out of MP, you're no longer running in speed of light, when you run out of HP, you actually still retain speed of light. You're still running even though you don't have enough HP to sustain Bionic Fuel. You're actually hard stuck at 10% HP, but you'll still be running. Now, this is both good and bad because you never have to worry about running out of speed of light, but now you do have to worry about the idea of just being one tap by enemies, by regular mobs, because you only have 10% HP. So to build in some survivability to the fact that we have no HP, we want to focus on shield. That's right, shield is good in this build. I think this is the only build where shield might actually be good because this is such a garbage stat. But shield. Now, in this build, if you've been lucky, I definitely would want to run Shield Collector right here. And if you're able to run Shield Collector, you're truly just invincible when running this build while farming. So, Shield Conversion because you don't need HP. Shield Collector, if you don't have it, increase shield is the next best thing, just to keep your shield sustained and fully topped off. So all the other mods, they're just there to help supplement uptime on either lightning emission or just deal as much damage as you can, because more damage, faster mobs, dead. Skill extension is really needed to make sure that your lightning emission has 100% uptime. Because you're not running high voltage, your lightning emission is back to 30-second cooldown. You want to make sure that the duration and cooldown align, so therefore you have 100% uptime. So skill extension, skill expansion, it's a given. Every bunny build runs this. Front lines, focus on singularity. These are all just damage. Walk a tightrope, we're always going to be below 50% HP, so why not enjoy the 30% additional damage? So this can actually be changed. We can actually change the style for crit damage instead because we're running so much crit. Even for bossing too, if you want to run crit damage here, that's fine. You don't need to run Dangerous Ambush. I think Dangerous Ambush is just better for co-op play, so that's why I run it. But again, crit damage is also a very viable choice right here too. So that about does it for covering all of our mod slots. We can go ahead and move on to actual equipment. Our main weapon we use for this build is actually Millennium Frost, and the reason why is because the base movement speed is 675. When you run Bionic Fuel, you'll actually notice the cut of speed to your speed of light, and having Millennium Frost really helps with that. In addition to Millennium Frost, the mod that we run is Brisk Walk to again help with that movement speed. For those of you who don't know, the on-hit effect actually applies to your skill hit, so lightning emission can actually proc Brisk Walk. It doesn't have to specifically be a firearm attack. And for our reactor, we run a Tingling Singularity Reactor with 2 slots. Now, this one, you should have cooldown reduction or duration or skill expansion on it. Now, the reason why you want cooldown reduction on this or skill duration is because that's what's going to be allowing you to run Electric Specialist versus the alternative, which is cooldown, and you do lose power. But if you don't have cooldown or duration on it, that's fine. Again, just be sure that you swap this one out with cooldown in addition to the electric power. Now for external components, I don't want it to be too picky, and the reason why is because you're mobbing at the end of the day. You really don't need to have 4-piece Supernova, you don't need that additional proc of Lightning, and I would much rather you focus on getting more shields or getting things that increase the drops. That is honestly just the biggest importance for mobbing, is just to have an additional set that has just additional drops, additional EXP, things like that, and shield at the end. You don't need defense. So this can definitely all be changed. I would recommend that you take shield recovery in combat though. It does help at the end of the day because you just have no HP and shield is all you're going off of for survivability. Anyway, that does cover it for the mobbing builds. Let's go ahead and show you how it works in my favorite mobbing spot. So this is the location I like to farm, and there's already a lot of videos and a lot of guides that cover this place. But how I farm is pretty different from all of these other videos, and well, it's hard to explain, so we'll just show it to you.
본격적인 시설 조사를 위해선 성체 외곽을 점령해야 해. 전투에 성공을 부탁해. 나는 그동안 다른 시설들을 확인해 볼게. 내 쪽은 지하 수로가 있어서 물로 흩어지면 들키지 않고 어느 정도 조사를 진행할 수 있겠어.
유진이다. 확인해보고 싶은 게 있어. 근처 벌거스에 DNA 샘플을 모아줘. 내 생각이 틀렸으면 좋겠지만 확실히 필요해서 그래. 최대한 다양한 방향의 샘플이 필요해. 부탁한다.
And there you have it. We just wait here for about 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes. It really depends on what you want if your PC can handle that much mobs. But mobs in this mission actually don't have a cap in terms of how many are able to appear on the map. They'll just keep going and going until every single mob in this mission appears. And again, it's really up to you and your PC performance if or when you want to go down and kill them all. But this does allow me to go ahead and do other things instead of just constantly having my full focus and attention on the first Descendant. If I want to go watch YouTube videos or do something else, this definitely is the best spot for that. Because even if you're not proactively playing, the game is essentially playing for you by putting more mobs on the map, which means more loot, more EXP, more everything. So another thing to note too is that after you're able to kill every mob on this mission, you don't want to go ahead and deliver all 4 points to the sort of payload area. And the reason for that is because after you do that, you have to go down the cliffside, you have to kill those mobs, and then you have to go back, and then you have to go all the way to the mission. It's a big time waster to go through that process. So after you kill every mob, just go ahead and abort the mission, go back to the start up again. The mission rewards are very underwhelming, where it's really not worth doing the whole mission. Just, you're here for the mobs, kill all the mobs, abort the mission, and then restart again. It's the reason why I actually do this in private and not public, because I don't think that it's actually public knowledge to just abort the mission after you're done with the mobs. So everyone actually just tries to complete the mission, and it's just really slows the whole thing down. Anyway, for the sake of time, I'm not gonna keep you all here for that long. I'm just gonna go ahead and kill all the mobs that have built up for now.